Hello and welcome to the basics. This is the terminology you will use no matter what type of modeling you do and whether you have representation or not. A model is a blank slate, a walking canvas, or a representative for a brand, designer, product, or service. Modeling is more than just New York Fashion Week. You can model for all types of products and brands and services. Next time you are looking in a magazine or you are at Target or the grocery store, look at the packages and look at the ads you see on the wall, and you will see models are surrounding you everywhere you go because companies love to market, and the majority of marketing involves human beings. Those human beings are called models, or sometimes they're called actors. Modeling. This is the act of bringing life and movement to a product or service for the purpose of sales. The entire reason why they hire a model is because you bring life and you bring movement and you bring emotions, which then the person who is receiving the advertisement can connect with and see themselves in you, see the happiness, see the joy, see the confidence, or whatever it is that they're trying to sell. So, some examples of modeling before we get into the whole course that I'd like to point out. On the very left, you see I have this makeup that is not flattering on me at all. It's a little funky, but the lip color especially just does not work with my skin color. It washes me out. It makes me look sick. The yellow in the hair extensions, again, does not really match my hair color or my skin tones. It's not doing me any favors, but it doesn't matter. I was not hired for my opinions or my personal style. I was hired to bring somebody else's life vision to life. And it's not about me. And you need to be confident in those moments. Even when you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I would never wear this. This is hideous. You have to be able to put on your model face and be fierce, be fabulous, and make other people want to purchase it, because it doesn't matter if it's not your style. You're not always going to be modeling for products that you would love and purchase. Sometimes you are, and it's awesome when you are because it makes everything even easier, but that's not always the case. And if you want to be a working model and you want to have lots of brands and clients, you have to get over that barrier of worrying about, like, oh, I would never wear this. I think I look ugly. It's not about your personal feelings. The second photo, you see my hands. I'm modeling these gel nail stickers. You could be modeling just your hands. You could be modeling just your feet for this. Also for shoes or a pumice stone, or if you're modeling jewelry like anklets or bracelets. So it's not always going to be your whole body. There is lots of different types of modeling, and not all of them include your face, and not all of them end up out in the world. In the third photo, you see that I am wearing this zebra zip-up hoodie, a lot of accessories. This was for an e-commerce job. And again, like, this was not my style. I do not wear this many accessories. I would not wear this jacket, but it doesn't matter. I needed to look fierce and fabulous so I could sell the product, because they probably sold out of this coat. It was sold at Kohl's, and Kohl's customers love this stuff. That's why Kohl's buyers buy this stuff and put it on the models. So you just got to be able to model anything and always feel fabulous and fierce, or whatever emotion that the client is asking of you. In the last photo, you see this green lady. That is me. I am fully body painted. And we were working for a makeup company, and we auditioned for this role. And along with being body painted and my two friends having makeup put on, we then did a performance because it has a theme to it. And they did these jobs often, and you auditioned for the ones that had different types of activities to make sure you could do it. Sometimes you're roller skating, sometimes you're dancing. Now, if you don't want to do these types of jobs, you just let your representation know you don't want to do these types of jobs. And if you do want to do these types of jobs, I want to make sure you know they exist and that you are allowed to tell your agent, so they know when they get a request that they have models who like to do those kinds of jobs. Boundaries are another thing you should communicate with your agent. These are your limits, the things you do and do not want to do. You want to develop and define these boundaries, and you want to communicate them clearly with your representation or directly with the client if it's needed or if you do not have representation. There are different kinds of boundaries like eating meat, wearing fur, posing nude, smoking. Even if you are posing with another model and maybe you are uncomfortable doing any type of sexually suggestive poses with the other model, no matter their gender, or maybe you're only comfortable with some genders and not others when posing suggestively, you need to make sure that your agents and clients know these things and that they know them when it comes up, not in the moment when it's happening. You want to make sure beforehand, when you see it at the casting, when you get asked at the casting, when you see it in a breakdown or an email, when your agent tells you you're confirmed for the job, you want to say, like, oh, wait, I don't want to do that job. That requires something that is against my boundaries. And you just want to make sure that you say things like, if you were to get sent to casting and it was for eating meat, like Carl's Jr. used to make us eat a hamburger in the casting, you could simply say, I am not comfortable eating meat, so I would like to pass on this casting. Thank you. And that's it. 99% of agents are not going to argue with you. They may ask some follow up questions to make sure they fully understand for this job and for future reference. And every once in a while, there'll be somebody who pushes back against it. That's just human nature. And you just have to, try and make sure that you're clear and you stand firm in those boundaries. Now, with every term, I want you to know that everything in the modeling industry is a case by case basis, as are terms, based on generation, based on who they learned it from, based on what side of the country they live on. Some people say pop and some people say soda. So some people say book and some people say portfolio. They are both the same thing, and you will see this throughout the terminology. The book is a collection of your best tears and shoots. It can include recent jobs and test shoots. It should reflect how you currently look in person, hair color, length, skin color, and your sizes. It can be a digital tablet or a picture book. You want your book to be about 80% of what you look like, so that if I am looking at your book and I do not see you right in front of me, I don't have to guess what you look like. I know that because 80% of your book, you have brown hair and olive skin, that is what you look like. And even if I see this blonde photo and this other one where you're wearing a wig, I'm not going to be confused. So that's what I mean when it say it should reflect how you currently look. It doesn't have to be 100%, but the majority of it should look like what you look like. The benefits of a digital book is that it is a write-off. You can have high-res photos because it's a digital book. And you can have multiple books. I have had multiple books. I have my regular print book. Then I have a book that specifically has examples from my e-commerce work. And then I have another book that specifically has all my tears in it. And at one point, I did a lot of quinceañera and pageant and prom gowns. So I had some pictures of me in pageants and also me modeling pageanty gowns. And I would show that when I was with that client, but I wouldn't show that to any other client. So having those multiple books for me was really helpful. My clients responded really well to it, and I found that I got more work because of it, but they may not be true for everybody. The downsides of a digital book are that it needs to be charged, and some models are not so good at keeping track of their digital book and keeping it charged. In that case, you may want to try things like having extra chargers and power banks or getting a traditional printed book. Another downside to the digital is that it could crack. If you don't take care of it or get a proper case for it, it could drop and crack, and that could be expensive to fix, but also it could cut your fingers or the client's fingers when you're going to castings. Overall, a digital book typically is more expensive to buy than a printed book, although you can find them used and refurbished. A printed book benefits include, again, write-off. Also, you have real tears. So you could quite literally tear a editorial out of a magazine and put it into your printed book. It feels very fancy. It feels very official. It feels very Modelesque. And overall, it is cheaper initially to buy the printed book from most agencies. As everything is in the modeling industry, a case by case basis, some agencies charge as low as $30 a book, some charge as high as $100 a book. And some have used books that you can purchase. The downsides to a printed book is it could be heavy, it could melt. They are plasticky pages, and the prints that you put in, if it gets too hot in the car or out in the sun, which is a surprisingly low temperature that they start to melt at, the ink melts to the plastic part, and you have to buy a whole new book because you can't pull out the photos. It's literally on the plastic page and it's stuck. Also, every single time your agency updates your book, you're going to have to go to the agency, which may be far away or inconvenient for you, to go pick up those prints and rearrange your book. I also didn't like having a printed book because they're very large and they don't necessarily fit into any reasonably sized purse. So you have to carry basically like a very oversized tote bag kind of purse. And I felt like it was really obvious that I was a model, and people would stop me on the streets of LA or New York and be like, "Are you a model?" And I didn't really love that. Now, granted, you're already tall and dressed usually in all black and wearing heels. So you may already be getting that, and it may not matter to you. But for me, I found that it was really obvious and I didn't like it, and it was heavy and it melted a lot. So I go with the digital book. But I also know some models that even in 2022 are getting 2021 are getting printed books because it just makes them feel more modelly and more official, and they like it. A mood board. So on the right, you see my little fake mood board that I've made. This would be a mood board I would send to a test photographer if I was wanting to do a fitness shoot. And you see here some different poses, and you see that we have coordinating yoga outfits. And in a mood board, it could have 2 photos, it could have 3 pages of photos. It could be for a small shoot or a large shoot. Of course, larger shoots are going to have bigger mood boards and usually like sections of the mood board based on different outfits that you're wearing throughout the day. And it can have things about posing or about makeup or about hair or about the emotional vibe they want you to be giving. So you want to make sure you ask questions. No one's just going to hand you a mood board and expect you to understand it. They are going to either have writing on it or explain to you, like, we're looking for these poses, we're looking for these vibes, we're looking for this kind of hair. And they'll be specific about that. And this can be on things, not just test shoots, also on photo shoots. And even when you get to more big photo shoots, a lot of times there's going to be a mood board that has been sent out to everybody. It'll be printed, it'll be somewhere at the photo shoot on like a poster board or something. They'll be crossing off things as they go to help keep track of the photo shoot. Prints. These are the pictures in your portfolio printed out by your agency or taken straight from a magazine. Tears are what it's called when it's torn out of a magazine. And this typically has writing and branding on it, like these 2 that you see here. Cards can also be called zeds, compcards, or composition. This is a model's version of a business card. It includes the most important information that you need to give to a client as a model. So a typical business card has your name, your company name, and some contact information. In modeling, what we care about is seeing your face, your body, your measurements, and your contact information. So typically, most of the time, all agencies will put your face on the front of the card. It's about headshot length. You see here, we can see a little bit of my arm and my hand. You may be facing more on. You may have it even closer up to the face. There is some variety, of course, but it's typically always a face shot. The back is typically 1 photo, full body, but some agencies may have 2 photos or even 3 or 4 photos on the back. It always has your measurements, and it has your agency's contact information, or if you are making these cards, your contact information. Measurements are also known as stats or sizes. You want to make sure these are updated frequently, and this typically includes your height, bust, waist, hips, shoes, hair and eye color, and maybe the dress or jean is included depending on your agency. The web or online is your agency's website where they showcase the portfolio of all of their models. You are charged for being on this website. Every agency charges a different amount, so it is going to vary agency by agency. Digitals are typically on that web, so you would have your portfolio, your measurements, and then your most recent digitals are able to be seen. And sometimes if they're not, your agent just keeps them in a folder and sends them directly to clients when they request them. When doing digitals, we will get fully into it later on in the course, but a general idea is that you want little to no makeup or hair products or styling. You want to look real natural, real fresh faced. You want lighting to be natural or studio lighting. The camera can be a professional camera, or even a lot of the newer camera phones have great quality. You know, iPhone 10 and up, maybe even a 7. A lot of the Samsung phones are just phenomenal. Wardrobe should be solid colors and form-fitting. You could also wear a bikini. You could do bikini and clothing, or you could do just bikini or just clothing. That is going to be based on you and your needs and your agency. When it comes to framing, we are going to have full length, head to toe. Do not cut it off at the calf. We go all the way to the toe. 3/4 will be cut off either below the knee or just above the knee, maybe mid-thigh. And shoulders and up, which can also be a little bit higher. Here you see it's basically at the top of my bra, but some people cut it off right at the shoulders and really get a face shot. Profile is 90 degrees turned to the side. It may be full body, half body, or headshot. And you can also do a 3/4 kind of shot like you see in the middle here. Unless a client has specifically said, I would like to see your profile, then you should turn 90 degrees. But when you're taking a bunch of digitals, you're going to do a bunch of different poses. And that's where this 3/4 in the middle comes in. Freelance, that means you are working without an agency on a booking to booking basis. That is every model, all y'all. Overall, you are known as an independent contractor. Whether you are working on your own or with agencies, you are an independent contractor. In the United States, I don't know about other countries what the exact wording is. In the United States, according to the IRS, an independent contractor is a non-employee, which means you receive a 1099 miscellaneous instead of a 1040. Also, you may be subject to city taxes. It depends on the city you are modeling in and also the city you live in. Expenses and deductions. Now, there are two different types of expenses. There are expenses when we're talking about clients and expenses when we're talking about the IRS. With a client, that means that you are going to do things like get your nails done or get a spray tan, and the client is going to get a receipt from you and then pay you back. That is an expense. That will go on your expense account, on your model account. We'll talk about that later. IRS expenses are things that you can write off. Now, this is not meant to be tax advice for you. You need to check in your local state, in your city, get yourself a tax expert or a CPA and figure it out. But in general, the expenses are the things you can write off, like commissions, your cards, the web fee the agency charges you. You do not get paid back from these by the agency. You're paying the agency for these services, and you can then write those off typically. And also things like if you got a spray tan and the client did not take a receipt and pay you back, but you had to get that spray tan not for personal, but for work use, it is potentially a write-off. A model bag. That's the stuff you need to do your job. It can include things like your nude underwear, your cards, and your chargers. Your model bag is going to be different based on every job, based on if you're traveling, how many days, and also based on you and your personal needs. If you need a lot of things to make you happy and get you through the day, bring a lot of things. Don't bring too much, though. You don't want to set up a whole camp at the job. But you want to bring what is going to help you get through the day. So if you know you need lots of snacks or you have allergies and you're worried about people not getting you the right snacks, then bring your own snacks with you to keep yourself happy throughout the day. So model bag refers to everything that's going to help you to do your job. Also, things like your headphones and your voucher book. We'll have a whole section on this later. What is a sample size? So this is the size the company, designer, or client makes one of in their design before mass production. They then take that one sample and they use it for runway shows, lookbooks, e-com, and the fit modeling typically. So typically, a shoe sample will be in a size European 37 or American United States 6.5. In jeans, it would be a 27 in women's. And in gowns, it would typically be a women's 6. Now, everything in the modeling industry is a case by case basis, and any designer can decide what their sample is. So, what they do is they make that, let's say, a woman's 6. And then when they send it to be mass produced, they just subtract a certain amount of centimeters or inches to make it a 4, to make it a 2, to make it a 0, and to make it an 8, a 10. They just add a certain amount of centimeters and inches. They don't get a model for every single size. So they pick one and then they size up and down from it. So they pick the one that makes the most sense to them and their business and their budget. So it can be different based on the company. Some more terms you should know are petite. Those are models that are booked specifically because they are 5'2" to 5'6". And plus, also known as curve, model that is booked specifically because they are size 12 and up. Typically a 12 to 14, but as always, everything in the modeling industry is a case-by-case basis. That's everything for your basics. If you have any questions, please comment below and I can get back to you or add more if you felt I have missed anything. If you've learned from this, if this has helped you, if you feel more confident at your castings or when talking to your agent, please share it. I would love to hear it. If you would like to share it with me privately, of course, please email me, or you can share it on social and use the hashtag Modelesque Mindset. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one, the link is provided below.